Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are jumping straight into really the heart of a conflict on an alien world, one where the lines between technology, what you might call magic, and just life itself are completely blurred.
Exactly. Our mission today is to analyze this continuous narrative you've been looking at. It's a desperate, high-stakes escape. And it involves a human protagonist and an alien girl named Zyra. We're not just here to recap the plot. We're here to really dig into the mechanics of how they survive.
And we begin with that chaotic, inciting incident, the rescue. So the human, he follows a strange signal deep into a forest, and it's all these unnaturally tall trees, this eerie glowing green moss. He finds Zyra pale blue, shimmering skin tied up, and she's about to be ritually burned by this chanting, dark-skinned tribe.
And that moment, the rescue itself, I mean, using a simple rock for a distraction and then a piece of what? Broken metal to cut her free. That's the first really critical piece of the analysis. It's this deliberate use of something so basic, low-tech improvisation in a world that's just full of these sophisticated alien threats.
And that one act of courage, that's what immediately launches the wrath of the tribe.
Yeah.
And that's the first concept we really need to break down. Because the pursuit isn't just vengeance. The narrative actually defines it as ritual, obsession, and fury combined. I think that's such a key distinction. Because if the pursuit were just fury, it would eventually burn out. But if it's a ritualistic obsession, the whole dynamic changes.
Right.
What does that tell us about their motives?
Well, it suggests the stakes are much higher than just personal revenge. A ritual implies they're driven by a kind of duty, a mandate to reclaim something that is fundamentally important to them, which is, most likely, that key Zyra is carrying. And duty as a motive is way harder to stop than just plain old hatred or anger.
And the relentless nature of the pursuit really proves that distinction matters. What we saw is that they aren't just running blindly through the woods. The tribe is intelligent. They adapt very quickly. And they're setting sophisticated traps.
Precisely. They move silently and they learn the protagonist's evasion patterns so fast. We see that with the net trap that briefly catches Zyra. This isn't some mindless mob. It's an organized, highly proficient hunting unit. They're operating with a clear purpose.
And then you have to add in the environment itself, which is just terrifying. The forest isn't just the setting, it's an active antagonist. It's described as alive, as watching. And it's filled with these unseen creatures like that huge, thin nightmare with eyes glowing like red embers just following their trail.
And that creature, that provides the immediate physical threat. It forces them into these extreme measures. Look at their first major escape, just leaping off that insane slope, relying on a small river below to cushion their fall and, carry them away. Survival in this context, it means you have to risk a potentially fatal accident just to avoid certain capture. It's a study in calculated desperation.
So that first escape was all about adrenaline and, frankly, a lot of luck. But you can't win a war on luck alone. The shift in their survival odds, that really came when they started relying on this small, critical device that Zyra carries. Let's dig into this key.
This is where the narrative's true genius lies, I think. The device itself is complex. It glows faintly, it pulses with these lights, and it has symbols that seem to actually move. The human gets it right away. He recognizes it's more than a tool. It was a key.
And the connection is so intimate. It pulses in rhythm with Zyra's heartbeat, and it glows brighter when danger is coming. This detail makes you ask, is this just advanced tech, or is it some kind of organic artifact, maybe even an extension of Zyra herself?
The evidence really points towards symbiosis. The device functions purely as a protective or a reactive mechanism. It's not just a weapon. It feels more like a biocontroller. We see it used in 3 critical ways, and they are all defensive and totally context-dependent.
Right. The first 2 uses are pure defense against the local wildlife. It repels that big, silent shadow in the water with a pulse of light, and then it momentarily blinds that red-eyed creature with a directed blast during the chase. It's buying them time.
But the real insight, the key moment, comes when they're tracked in that wide clearing the tribe set up. Zyra whispers to it, and the device releases this huge blast of bright light. It not only blinds the tribe members waiting for them, but, and this is crucial, it causes the vines around them to grow rapidly, tangling their legs, throwing them completely off balance.
That's terrain manipulation. That's the forest itself actively stepping in to help them. The source material is so clear on this. Zyra carries the key that binds the forest. So she's either the wielder of or she's inherently linked to the very mechanism that controls the local ecosystem.
And the contrast here is just fascinating. The human starts the escape with pure low-tech improvisation, a rock and a piece of metal. But to sustain the escape, they need this high-tech organic manipulation from the key. Survival really hinges on bridging those two extremes.
Okay, let's follow that idea of terrain manipulation into their actual evasion tactics.
Yeah.
Because survival ultimately demanded intelligence and courage and trust. It was less about fighting their way out and more about outsmarting their pursuers and, well, the environment itself.
We can kind of group their later evasion maneuvers thematically. First, you have them using water as defense. They don't try to fight that persistent red-eyed creature. No, they use the deep, cold pool under the waterfall, knowing the creature would either be unwilling or unable to follow them in. That's just classic critical thinking under fire.
Then there's that deliberate decision to kind of activate their forest allies. The human realizes they need to leverage this alive forest, probably because he's recognizing the power Zyra holds. So they run toward a specific cluster of ancient trees, and the whole environment just responds.
The path started shifting. Branches moved, vines tangled up. The terrain itself became confusing, and it caused the tribe members following them to fall into hidden pits. This shows that the key, or maybe Zyra herself, doesn't just repel immediate threats. They can actively reshape the landscape to create defensive obstacles.
And this all leads to their final push, right? Crossing that slippery, fallen tree trunk over a wild river, looking for a planned refuge. They finally find some temporary safety in a small hollow, hidden behind this curtain of thick vines and a waterfall in a canyon.
And that moment of rest, that marks the narrative pivot point.
Right.
They're safe for a moment, yes, but more importantly, they are no longer alone. The relentless chase forced them right into contact with the next major layer of this whole conflict.
Right, so inside that hidden refuge, they find these new beings. Small, agile figures with shimmering skin and glowing eyes. They look a little like Zyra, which hints at a shared origin, but they're clearly a different group.
And this introduction immediately suggests the conflict is so much larger than the human understood. He's obviously far from home, but the taller leader of these new figures, he doesn't even focus on the human. He immediately validates Zyra's importance.
And the revelation is the anchor point for the entire next arc of the story. The leader confirms that Zyra carries the key that binds the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that, the escape story transforms into one of, high politics and planetary control.
I mean, if the forest is bound, that implies it was once unbound, or that control over it is being fought over. The tribe's wrath is likely driven by a desire to restore or maintain a particular order. The key is the fulcrum of all that power.
So their initial desperate flight, it shifts into something else entirely. The device is now recognized for what it is, a strategic asset. The journey pivots from mere survival to, well, collaboration with these new allies, using the key not just to evade, but to fight back.
What we are left with is the end of the escape sequence, but really the beginning of a tactical confrontation. The first battle was won through a mix of primal courage and the symbiotic technology. Now they have to figure out what exactly they're fighting for.
So if we synthesize the most impactful takeaways from this deep dive, I think the central nugget of knowledge is that intentional contrast in survival mechanics.
Absolutely. The success of their alliance, it rested on the ability to combine primal instinct improvising with a rock, with this highly sophisticated, almost ecological intelligence provided by Zyra and the key. They succeeded by turning the environment, which was hostile at first, into a loyal, shifting defense system.
And the tribe failed because their ritualistic pursuit, no matter how fierce, it just couldn't overcome that landscape manipulation granted by the key. They were relying on predictable tactics against a battlefield that was constantly changing.
Which leaves us with the truly provocative thought that the sources introduce. If the tribe's wrath is centered on reclaiming this key, and the device literally binds the forest, you have to question the nature of that ecosystem itself. Is the true antagonist the tribe seeking control, or is it the binding itself that holds the forest in check?
Which suggests the real conflict isn't between the human and the tribe, but maybe between two different philosophies of planetary management. Something for you to consider as they move forward into the secrets the forest still holds.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a set of narrative excerpts you shared with us, and honestly, they feel like they're ripped straight from some high-stakes first contact thriller.
Oh, absolutely.
So our mission is to, get under the skin of the story. We're going to try and extract what's really going on in this alien world, the environment, this sudden, violent conflict, and this hidden power that just seems to emerge out of nowhere.
It really starts as a classic survival story, doesn't it? But then it just pivots into something else entirely, something almost mythological.
It does. You've got this protagonist. He's traveling alone, deep in this unknown territory. And the only thing guiding him is curiosity, and what the source calls a strange signal.
And right away, the planet itself is just a massive challenge. The scale of it is completely overwhelming.
Totally. The descriptions are incredible. You've got these trees that are, I mean, impossibly tall. The trunks are wide and twisted.
Right.
And the whole environment is soaked in this strange green light.
Yeah, and the light comes from this thick, glowing moss that seems to be on every... It's less a forest and more like a, I don't know, a giant living cathedral.
A bioluminescent cathedral. That's a good way to put it.
And that, that bioluminescence is our very first clue. If the main light source is organic, this moss, then we're looking at an ecosystem that's probably powered by something like photosynthesis. But its energy cycle is completely alien to us.
So the whole environment might be connected, like a vast, slow-moving neural network or something.
Exactly, which is some serious foreshadowing for what's about to happen.
Right. But what actually throws them into immediate danger isn't a creature or a plant. It's a smell.
Something frighteningly familiar in this deeply alien place.
Yeah, the scent of sharp and pungent smoke, which means intelligent life. And as it turns out, immediate conflict.
That smell is the trigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what forces him to cross that threshold from just being an explorer to confronting something actively hostile.
And he stumbles right into the heart of it. Okay, let's unpack this.
So he finds a clearing, and there's a huge fire burning. And around it are several humanoid figures.
And their appearance is key here.
Absolutely. Their skin is described as a mix of dark green and brown. It's camouflage. They almost vanish into the forest behind them.
They're not just standing around either. They're in the middle of a ritual. The source says they were chanting softly, a rhythm that made his skin crawl, and they're holding these sharp tools.
Yeah, preparing for something terrible. And at the center of it all, tied up, is the victim, the girl.
Who is the complete opposite of them? If the tribe is green and brown, blending in.
She stands out. Her skin shimmers with a pale blue light. That visual contrast is so important. Blue, in a lot of storytelling, it signifies rarity or purity, something special.
So she's clearly separate from them, and they're planning to destroy her.
It sets up the conflict perfectly. This isn't just a random act of violence. It feels deliberate, ritualistic, maybe even ideological.
And our human character sees all this. Every instinct is screaming at him to run, to just survive. But he feels this connection to her. He sees a silent plea in her eyes.
And that's the moment that defines everything for him. He goes from being an observer to a participant. You have to wonder, though, was it pure empathy, or was he also just drawn in by the mystery of that pale blue light?
Maybe a bit of both. But either way, he commits, and his plan is pure instinct.
Distraction.
Just grabs a rock, throws it, and this sharp crack turns a few heads. It buys him a split second.
And that's all he needs. He throws a branch like a spear, causes chaos, and then he's using a piece of broken metal he found to cut the ropes. This wasn't luck.
No.
This was him seizing the one moment he had, the one chance he could not waste.
And then she falls into his arms, trembling, and the source says a silent understanding passed between them. The alliance is formed right there.
Formed against this wave of what the text calls anger closing in.
So now they're on the run, the escape is on, and the reality of the pursuit hits them. They can hear these faint, steady footsteps behind them.
And he knows.
Yeah.
He knows the hunters would catch up if they just tried to outrun them.
But then the environment itself starts to participate. The forest is no longer just a backdrop. He feels like it's alive and watching them.
And there are strange sounds everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Whispers and cries. Is it just the wind, or is the forest actually reacting?
We get our answer from the girl. She whispers a word described as soft and strange, almost musical, and points. She points to a path that was hidden by thick vines.
She's guiding them.
Yes.
But not like a human would. She's not reading a map. She's communicating with the environment. It's organic.
Yeah.
And that path leads them right to the heart of the mystery.
This is it. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
She stops. She's completely fixated on a small device that's half buried in the moss.
What did the device look like? What does the source material say?
It's glowing faintly with these pulsing lights. And here's the kicker. The symbols on it seem to move. This isn't some primitive tool. This is advanced tech.
Oh.
Or
Something else.
the way she finds it, too. It's like it was waiting for her. So this is the question for our deep dive, right? Is this thing a tool that gives her power she didn't have? Or is it more of an amplifier? Something that just translates a power she already has.
An amplifier. I like that. And given the moving symbols, it feels dynamic, like it's adapting to her.
And we find out pretty quickly.
We do.
Yeah.
Because just as she touches it, A new threat shows up.
Yeah.
A low guttural growl.
And a creature appears, tall and thin, with glowing red eyes. The movement is described as fluid, almost unnatural. This is the forest's own defense system.
A pure predator. The human is probably expecting to have to fight it.
But Zyra, the girl, she doesn't fight. She uses the device.
She just whispers again, touches it, and the lights pulse really fast. And the creature, it doesn't attack. It hisses and just retreats, melts back into the darkness. That changes everything. She didn't scare it. She controlled it. She controlled the native life of the planet using that device.
Which confirms the human's realization right then and there. This girl had some control over the forest, some hidden power he could not understand.
So the forest isn't just guiding them. It's actively protecting them on her command.
They finally get a moment to breathe. They find a small clearing lit by these strange, soft-glowing flowers. And the human finally asks the question we've all been wondering.
Who are you?
And she answers. Her voice is strange but melodic. She says, Zyra, they want to burn me.
And that one line, they want to burn me, it just unlocks the entire motivation of the tribe.
Right. This isn't just a hunt. It's a targeted destruction. If her blue light means she's special or different, then burning her is. It's like a purification ritual, an exorcism.
We're watching a conflict over the spiritual ownership of this world. And the green and brown tribe, they might not even be evil. In their eyes, they're probably doing what's necessary. They see Zyra, or her power, as something that disrupts the balance.
An aberration that has to be purged with fire.
Exactly.
But there's no time to think about that because the footsteps are back, unmistakable. They're being tracked, and the source calls the pursuit relentless and focused.
Which tells you the tribe is smart. They're effective hunters. Just running deeper into the woods is not a long-term plan.
And it all comes to a head. 2 of the tribe members manage to get ahead and block their path. This is the final confrontation in the source material we have.
And it's where Zyra fully transforms from a victim into a leader.
She doesn't hesitate for a second. She whispers urgently, touches the device again. But this time, it's not subtle control.
No. This time, a wave of light shoots out from the device. It's an offensive move. It blinds the 2 tribe members just for a moment.
The device has become a weapon. And seeing that is what solidifies the human's commitment. He realizes running is pointless, and this device, this thing is their only chance.
And he promises to protect her no matter what.
That promise changes the stakes. It's not just about survival anymore. The alliance is now built around this mysterious source of power.
They're not just running from something now. They're running with a purpose, guided by a girl who can literally command the world around them.
So when we put it all together, what does this all mean?
It means our protagonist's journey went from simple exploration to, well, an initiation into an ancient war. You've got this sentient ecosystem, this conflict defined by color, the integrated green-brown versus the rare, powerful blue.
And it's all arbitrated through this one incredible device.
The biggest takeaway for me is that the forest isn't a hiding place. It's a participant. It's a player in the game, and it seems to be on Zyra's side.
Which brings us to the final thought this material leaves you with.
If the tribe, the people who are integrated with this forest, feel they have to burn Zyra, what is she? What is her real role on this planet?
Is she a god? A symbiont?
Or maybe she's the living heart of the planet itself, and that device is just the key that lets her defend her own existence.
Wow. So they started by running away from danger, but now they're running straight into the central myth, the central struggle of this entire world.
A struggle where the planet itself seems to be taking sides. And this human is now the unlikely, completely unprepared, but totally committed protector of whatever that force is.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really unique mission. Our sources are less about data and more about raw narrative.
Exactly.
We're looking at the story of survival under just impossible odds. We're going deep into the escape of 2 protagonists, the human and a mysterious being named Zyra.
Right.
And they're fleeing this relentless, hostile tribe in an environment that is, itself actively trying to eliminate them.
It's an incredibly rich narrative. We get to watch in real time how these fundamental strategies for survival are forged. It's not just a prison break. It's sort of an evolution.
An evolution from what, exactly?
From pure instinct, really, to this calculated strategic unity. So our goal is to pull out these nuggets of knowledge about trust, about cognitive adaptability, and how to leverage a completely alien ecosystem.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The inciting incident. Our human is deep within this living forest.
A very dangerous one.
Right, and he's drawn in by, what? Simple curiosity and some kind of
An
signal.
electromagnetic signal, yeah.
And what he stumbles upon immediately raises the stakes from, dangerous hike to life or death confrontation.
It absolutely does. He finds himself in a clearing, and the local population, this chanting humanoid tribe with dark green and brown skin, they're performing a ritual.
And at the center of that ritual is Zyra.
Zyra, tied to a post, about to be burned. And her key feature, beyond just the obvious fear, is this shimmering pale blue skin. It sets her apart completely.
The narrative really emphasizes this internal conflict the human faces. Every rational fiber in his body is screaming, "Run!"
Of course.
But he acts, and that initial act of courage it's stunningly simple. He just throws a rock.
Just a rock far into the trees to create a momentary distraction. That chaos is just enough for him to rush in, use a jagged piece of broken metal he finds, and cut her bonds.
What's so fascinating about that simple rock toss is it's not just bravery.
No, it's strategy. It's the human leveraging the known psychology of the tribe, their intense, ritualistic focus to create a vulnerability. It's quick psychological profiling under extreme duress.
And that shared moment of escape, that unspoken agreement to rely on each other.
That's the foundation of trust. Without it, the rest of the journey it collapses right there.
But courage alone is perishable. You can't just keep running on adrenaline.
Right.
So if we look at the transition from that panicked escape to, sustained evasion, we realize the human's courage alone wouldn't cut it against an organized force. They need tools.
And that's where Zyra pivots.
Yeah.
She goes from being the rescued figure to the absolute linchpin of their survival. She has the key piece of equipment.
The device. Let's talk about this device, because it's clearly more than just technology. It feels more like an interface.
That's a great way to put it. It's described as a small object, almost organic looking, glowing faintly, and it's covered in these pulsing lights, and get this, symbols that seem to move.
Wow.
And we see how crucial it is when they face their next big threat. Not the tribe, but this large, thin predator with glowing red eyes. As the creature attacks, Zyra just whispers something and touches the device. It pulses, and the creature is instantly repelled. It's thrown backward like it hit an invisible wall.
And the human's realization is immediate. He sees it. He knows this isn't just a defensive shield. He calls it more than a tool. It was a key.
He gets it instantly.
So I want to push back on this a little. If the key is so central to their survival, does that diminish the human's role? Is the narrative saying courage is useless without, superior technology?
That's a great question, but the sources argue the opposite. The key provides the means, but the human provides the strategy, the initiative. The key is just an inert object without Zyra's knowledge and her willingness to use it, which only happens because the human risked everything for her. It's symbiotic.
So the key is like the manual for this alien world.
Exactly. But the human has to read the situation and decide where and when to apply that manual.
Okay, so using that interface, they now have to survive the physical chase. And their first evasion tactics they're terrifying. They're these high-stakes maneuvers where they bet everything on terrain they don't even understand.
Absolutely. I mean, think about the desperation of that first major escape, the deadly jump off a sharp cliffside.
A move that should mean certain death.
It should. But the river below, which was just another threat moments before, becomes their savior. It cushions the fall, carries them away.
And then they have to do it again, basically. Leaping over a waterfall into a deep, cold pool to escape another one of those predators, the one described as taller than a man with glowing red ember eyes.
It's pure, terrifying faith in physics and luck. But these desperation moves buy them time.
And that forces the tribe to adapt.
It does. We need to analyze the nature of the threat itself. The narrative goes out of its way to define the tribe's pursuit, not just as anger, but as ritual, obsession, and fury.
Okay, why is that distinction important? Why focus on ritual instead of just, standard territorial defense?
Because ritual implies they're relentless. They're driven by rules. But it also means they might be predictable if you can figure out those rules. Their obsession guarantees they won't quit. They aren't running on emotion. They are fulfilling a cultural mandate.
And we see them adapt. The tribe suddenly stops chasing at one point.
Right. But they're not defeated. They're strategizing. They set a perfect trap in a wide clearing. Later on, they even manage to capture Zyra with a net. They match their fury with tactical intelligence.
That adaptability means the human and Zyra have to make the biggest cognitive shift of this whole deep dive. They have to move from just running from the environment to learning to run with it, to turn it into an active ally.
This is the major turning point. The human slowly begins to understand that the forest is not inert. It is, and I'm quoting, alive, more than just trees and rivers, a living, breathing force.
That shift in perspective is the real intellectual victory here.
It is. They stop seeing obstacles and start seeing integrated systems.
And they weaponize this system. They start guiding the tribe who are maybe too driven by their ritual to notice into these natural traps.
We read about tribe members stumbling into thick, twisted ancient trees, getting tangled in vines that seem to grow faster, falling into hidden pits.
And this is where Zyra's key becomes, as you said, the interface, the operating system for the whole biome.
Yes, when she's caught in that net trap, she doesn't use the key to fight them directly. Instead, she whispers in her strange language, touches the device.
And the forest responds.
Instantly, vines grow rapidly and pull the tribe members off balance. She's manipulating the terrain itself to ensure they survive.
This manipulation leads them to discover their first true allies.
A crucial step.
They find a small canyon hidden by massive vines, and inside are these small, agile figures with the same shimmering skin. They're clearly related to Zyra.
And this alliance is the legitimization of Zyra's power. The leader of these canyon dwellers immediately confirms the device's importance. He says that Zyra carries the key that binds the forest.
So it's not just a useful gadget, it's the fundamental controller of their world.
And most critically, these allies don't just join the fight, they provide the missing piece, the intellectual component. They share knowledge, teaching the human how the forest worked.
Confirming that paths shifted and creatures obeyed her device.
That's the strategic knowledge transfer that transforms them from fugitives into, well, coordinators.
So we've moved from a desperate chase to what the narrative actually calls a war.
A coordinated defense built on intelligence, technology, and terrain knowledge.
Let's detail that final stand in the canyon. It becomes their fortress, and the tactical coordination is just beautiful.
It really is. The alliance tactics are highly specific. The agile allies use their knowledge of the canyon walls, moving swiftly, luring the tribe into preset traps.
So roots twisting to block paths.
Pits reappearing under leaves. It is pure environmental warfare.
The human uses this new terrain knowledge, fighting with a heavy branch, but he's fighting smart now, using cover, using timing.
And Zyra uses the light pulses from the key, not just defensively, but offensively, to confuse and blind their enemies. The source even notes that the smallest creatures in the forest seem to join.
They've integrated the entire biome into their defense plan.
The focus then shifts to the source of the tribe's power, their large, strong leader. This one individual represents the ritual, the fury, all of it.
And the key is used for the decisive blow.
Zyra channels the device's power into a concentrated, intense pulse of light. It sends a wave of energy that threw the leader backward. It wasn't a death blow, but a defeat of presence.
A psychological blow.
Exactly. That physical defeat breaks the psychological hold. Once that leader, that cohesive force is scattered, the remaining tribe members, they just break. They abandon the fight and scatter into the woods.
The entire structure collapses because the fear and the ritual that bound them together was broken. And the silence that follows is described as the confirmation of true safety for the first time. The human has this final, profound realization. The victory wasn't about outmuscling them.
Not at all.
It was achieved through coordination, trust, and clever use of terrain. They defeated the strategy, not just the soldiers.
And that's the core takeaway. Survival starts with individual courage, sure, but it only succeeds through the rapid integration of alien technology that key the formation of alliances and the complete cognitive shift to partner with a living ecosystem.
If we look back at the beginning, the human was an intruder, just looking for a signal. Now he's a vital, bonded component of this powerful system.
He's achieved survival with the forest, not from it.
The adventure is over, for now, but the relationship has fundamentally changed.
It has. The sources conclude that the bond between the human, Zyra, and the forest is now unbreakable, and the forest is seen as guardians of secrets, life, and hope.
Which raises a pretty big question.
It does, and it's a question for you, the listener, to consider. Since the human is now intrinsically bound to this sentient, protective, and powerful new world, what new responsibility do they bear? They didn't just escape the planet, they joined it. What duties come with being a guardian of secrets?
That shift from fugitive to guardian is a dramatic new chapter. Thank you for guiding us through that high-stakes strategic deep dive.